Palestine is not just a contemporary issue, for control of the city has been ongoing for the past 3,000 years. Around 3,300 years ago, Allah commanded Prophet Musa ﷺ to liberate the children of Israel from slavery in Egypt. Eventually, after much difficulty, Pharaoh freed the children of Israel, after which Prophet Musa ﷺ led them to Palestine. He instructed them to attack the city, but the children of Israel refused, saying he and their Lord would fight, and they were not going to engage in this battle. Because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished them by making them stay in the desert for 40 years, during which the heavenly book, Torah, was revealed to Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Clearly written in the first chapter of the book of Genesis, it is stated that this area, Palestine, was reserved by Allah solely for the descendants of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. The reason why there are ongoing conflicts is because Jews claim, based on a verse in the Torah, that Jerusalem and Palestine belong exclusively to the descendants of Prophet Ishaq or Prophet Isaac, the son of Prophet Ibrahim, and it makes sense that they should receive it. However, it is written in the Torah that this land is for children of Ibrahim alayhi salam, not just for the descendants of Prophet Isaac. Ibrahim alayhi salam had two sons, Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac alayhi salam was the father of Bani Israel, but Ismail alayhi salam is called the father of Arabs. This fact is acknowledged not only by us, but also by the Jews themselves. According to their own book, the Torah, Palestine does not solely belong to the descendants of Prophet Isaac, but also to the descendants of Prophet Ismail. After spending 40 years in the desert with Prophet Musa alayhi salam, the children of Israel, under the leadership of Joshua, finally conquered Palestine. However, shortly after, this city slipped from their hands again, and for the next 300 years, the children of Israel could not reclaim it. But 300 years later, under the leadership of Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, or also known as Prophet David, the children of Israel conquered Jerusalem. His son, Prophet Suleiman, or the King Solomon, built a mosque and a temple here for the first time for the worship of the God Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After Prophet Suleiman, the Jews ruled Palestine and Jerusalem for 400 years. However, 400 years later, Babylon had become a very powerful empire in Iraq. King Nebuchadnezzar attacked Palestine to expand his empire and destroyed Jerusalem, killing thousands of Jews and destroying the temple built by Prophet Suleiman. The remaining Jews were made slaves and taken to their capital Babylon, where they remained enslaved for 70 years. But after 70 years, Cyrus the Great, a very noble king of Persia, attacked Iraq. We also know him by the name Zulkarnain. Cyrus the Great conquered his empire and sent back all the Jews and provided them with funds to rebuild the temple of Prophet Suleiman, or the Temple of Solomon, which had been destroyed earlier. After this, the Jews ruled Palestine for another 400 years. But then, a ruler attacked them, forcing all the Jews to leave here for 600 years. That was the Roman Empire. They killed many Jews, causing Jews to hide in caves, and Romans again destroyed the Temple of Solomon. And since then, it was not built. The great Roman Empire, which ruled Palestine and Jerusalem for 600 years, made a mistake that it should have never made. They tried to attack the rapidly spreading new religion of Islam in Arabia, but Islamic religion and Caliphate spread so rapidly that within few years, both the Roman and Persian empires were conquered. After Hazrat Umar alayhi salam became the strongest caliph, whose rule became bigger than Alexander the Great. Finally, after defeating the Roman Empire, Muslims reached the gate of Jerusalem. The last messenger of God, Prophet Muhammad, had already given the prophecy of Muslim conquering Jerusalem one day. Muslims had two options: either to destroy Jerusalem in the same way as other emperors before them had done, or to conquer it peacefully. Finally, Finally, after 6 months, the governor of Jerusalem, Sophronius, said, "I'll surrender Jerusalem to Muslims under one condition. I would only hand over the Jerusalem to Caliph Hazrat Umar alayhi salam, who was the second Caliph of Islam." So the military leader, Khalid bin Walid, thought why to disturb the Caliph of Islam, as he was far away in Medina, which is a city in current Saudi Arabia. And because the appearance of Khalid bin Walid, may Allah be pleased with him, was very similar to Hazrat Umar alayhi salam, and both of them were of same height, almost 7 feet, he opted to go instead of Hazrat Umar alayhi salam. However, someone had already met Hazrat Umar and said he cannot be Hazrat Umar. Finally, Khalid bin Walid sent messenger to Hazrat Umar alayhi salam, and at that time, the most powerful caliph had to come to Jerusalem. Governor Sophronius was adorned with luxury, wearing gold and silver, because such a large caliph was coming to meet him. But Sophronius and the whole people of Jerusalem were astonished to see that the emperor's slave was sitting on a camel, and the emperor himself was walking on foot in an ordinary cloth. He is not an emperor, but he is the Caliph of Islam. The sight was shocking for the people of Jerusalem, because whenever a king conquered Jerusalem before, he had destroyed the city and filled the street with blood. But now a caliph had come who was more powerful than all of them, but without any army and in ordinary clothes. Hazrat Umar alayhi salam granted freedom to all without shedding any blood. Sophronius handed over Jerusalem to Hazrat Umar alayhi salam, but he also kept a condition that Muslims would not allow Jews to enter Jerusalem. But Hazrat Umar alayhi salam did not accept this condition, and also allowed the Jews to come to Baitul Maqdis. And in this way, for the first time, Jerusalem came under the descendants of Ibrahim, son of Ismail. After that, for almost 350 years, Muslim, Christians, and Jews lived in Jerusalem completely peacefully. But then after 350 years, Christian crusaders gathered armies from all over Europe and attacked Jerusalem again. At that time, there were many fights among the Muslims themselves, which the crusaders took advantage of and easily conquered Jerusalem. After conquering Jerusalem, the crusaders were unbelievably cruel to Muslims and Jews, martyring thousands of Muslims and Jews and converting mosques and synagogues. It is written in history that the crusaders filled the street of Jerusalem with blood and even turned the Al-Aqsa Mosque into a palace. The Jewish women and children saved themselves by taking refuge in the synagogue, but the crusaders set fire to all these buildings and burned their children and women alive. And this is not just something we say, but it is part of the authentic history, which Europeans also acknowledge. After that, these crusaders ruled over Jerusalem for almost 90 years. But then, after 90 years, a Muslim ruler, Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi, gathered armies from all over the Muslim world and recaptured Jerusalem from the Christians. And at that time, the Christians thought that now Salahuddin would take revenge on us, just like we martyred millions of Muslims. But Salahuddin Ayyubi forgave all Christians, just like Hazrat Umar did. And even Christians were surprised and asked Salahuddin, "When we conquered, we killed every Muslim." But Salahuddin said to them,
"I am not those men. I am Salahuddin. Salahuddin."
Salahuddin Ayyubi granted freedom to all religions and again rebuilt the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The mosque was rebuilt and the first prayer was offered there. Whenever a king conquered Jerusalem, a lot of blood was shed there, except for Muslims, who always conquered this city with complete peace and tranquility. After Salahuddin Ayyubi, once again, all Abrahamic religions lived in Jerusalem with complete peace and tranquility for 800 years. 800 years passed, and after 800 years, and today, 100 years ago, when the Ottoman Empire ruled Jerusalem after First World War, the Arabs, with the help of the British, abolished the Ottoman Caliphate forever.